They stand shoulder to shoulder with the giants of their craft. When you think of legendary R&B writing and producing duos, the names roll easily off the tongue: Babyface and L.A. Reid, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, or the architects of the Philly sound, Gamble and Huff. Then there are the unforgettable vocal pairings like Peaches and Herb. But what happens when the most gifted songwriters are also true lovers? What happens when the creative partnership is sealed not just by contract, but by a lifetime commitment solid as a rock? We are talking about Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson. They were the multi-talented anomaly in the industry, the duo who could write the hits, produce the magic, sing the songs, and still be husband and wife. Their love was their greatest sound. Luther Vandross used to study their stage presence and ad-libs because their passion felt so real. You knew their music came from genuine emotion. In an industry built on temporary alliances, their 4 decades of collaboration became a powerful, enduring testament. They were, for many, the best-kept secret in the music industry. Today, we honor Nick Ashford, a true R&B soul music pioneer, and explore the journey that forged a love and a legacy solid as a rock. Nick Ashford's story began far from the bright lights of Motown. He was born on May 4, 1941, in Fairfield, South Carolina, though he was primarily raised in Willow Run, Michigan, just 60 miles outside of Detroit. The family was anchored by his parents, Alice and Calvin Ashford, the latter working in construction, and Nick was one of 4 boys. From a young age, Nick carried a singular focus: he just wanted to be an entertainer. Whether as an actor, a singer, or a dancer, his ambition was simply to be on a stage. His foundation, like so many R&B soul music pioneers, was the church. Nick was a member of the Willow Run Baptist Church, where he first channeled his creative energy by singing and writing songs for the gospel choir. He often spoke of an inspirational feeling he had around age 13, a feeling that confirmed his future was in music and songwriting. After graduating high school in 1959, he took a step towards that future, enrolling at Eastern Michigan University. However, after 3 years, the call of the stage became too loud to ignore. He dropped out and headed to New York, specifically to pursue his love for jazz dance. When Nick left Michigan, he carried just $64 to his name. New York City, the promised land of opportunity, quickly showed him its brutal side. He found that the city was filled with dancers just as good, if not better, than him. The dream quickly fractured, and Nick found himself in a desperate, rough situation. He was trying to survive on the streets, aiming only to scrape together a quarter, 25 cents, per day, enough money to buy 2 hot dogs. His struggles intensified to the point that Nicholas Ashford was homeless, forced to sleep on park benches just to get by. One day, starving, he asked someone where he could find a free meal. He was directed to the White Rock Baptist Church in Harlem. Beyond the free meal, the church offered something more profound: strength and motivation through the Word. It was a Sunday morning in 1964 at that very church that Nick's life changed forever. He saw a young, beautiful 17-year-old girl playing the piano and singing in the choir. Her name was Valerie Simpson. Valerie came from the Bronx, New York. She was piano-trained, yet gifted enough to play by ear, a skill she developed in church from the age of 5. Her inspiration came from formidable female artists like Nina Simone and Aretha Franklin, who could both sing and master the piano. In an interesting note on the breadth of the Simpson family's talent, Valerie's brother, Ray Simpson, would later replace Victor Willis as the lead singer of the Village People, and her other brother, Jimmy Simpson, produced the R&B group GQ. Nick, then 21, approached the 17-year-old Valerie after the service and told her he wrote gospel songs. Her group, The Followers, just happened to be looking for a gospel songwriter. And just like that, over a shared love for the gospel and a desire to create, Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson formed their musical partnership. The early days saw Nick join the church choir and The Followers, where the duo started writing in earnest. Nick, gifted with lyrical flow, handled the words, while Valerie created the chords and melodies on the piano, collaborating to build their sound. Their first real professional break came when two club owners approached the White Rock Baptist Church, seeking young talent for a new gospel club called the Sweet Chariot. This led to the Followers signing with Roulette Records and releasing a gospel album. However, the temptation of secular music soon arose. They were hesitant, feeling the pull of the church community. They prayed on it, reflecting the deep faith that guided them, before deciding to write love songs. This decision marked their true start as the iconic duo we remember. They left the Followers, signed a deal with Henry Glover, an executive from Roulette Records, and sold their very first batch of songs for a humbling $75. Early on, while their career was sputtering, Valerie became the voice of jingles for national brands like Budweiser, Canada Dry, and the famous Almond Joy/Mounds Bar jingle, "Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't." She was earning close to six figures doing commercial work, a staggering amount at the time. Nick, recognizing the incredible potential of their writing partnership, eventually gave her an ultimatum: choose between the financially secure jingle world and their writing future. The choice paid off almost immediately. They landed their first major hit, writing Let's Get Stoned for Ray Charles, which went to #1 on the R&B charts in 1966. This was a powerful statement, particularly as Charles had just returned from rehab for heroin addiction. With that one song, the two were poised to become true R&B soul music pioneers. The success of Let's Get Stoned brought Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson exactly where they belonged, Motown Records. Their speed and prolific talent caught the attention of legendary producers Holland, who urged Berry Gordy to sign the duo. At the time, Gordy was keenly looking for songwriters to supply hits for his newly formed superduo, Marvin Gaye and Tammi Terrell. Nick and Valerie were not just good writers, they were fast writers, reportedly capable of crafting 3 songs in 3 hours. This ability to deliver quality on demand was essential in the Motown machine. Their first major assignment was for Marvin and Tammy's United album, and the result was instantaneous lightning. They delivered the enduring classic, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, which peaked at number 19 on the pop charts and number 3 on the R&B charts. It is a fascinating piece of music history that singer Dusty Springfield heard the song first and desperately wanted to record it, but Nick and Val, confident in the Motown platform, turned her down, knowing it was destined to be a massive Motown hit. They continued to supply the soundtrack to America's Love Life with Your Precious Love, which hit number 5 on the pop singles chart and number 2 on the R&B chart. This is a song that remains a personal favorite for many, still played today. For Marvin and Tammy's second album, You're All I Need, Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson delivered perhaps their deepest emotional work. They wrote Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, R&B number 1, pop number 8, and the monumental ballad, You're All I Need to Get By, which soared to number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and held the number 1 spot on the Hot R&B/Soul Singles chart for 5 weeks. The recordings of this album, however, were steeped in sadness. While working on You're All I Need to Get By, Tammi Terrell had just returned from brain surgery to remove a tumor. Valerie often stepped in to sing during those sessions because Tammi was navigating intense health issues. Although Tammi bravely recorded her vocals when she could, this session included the very last song she would ever perform before she tragically died 2 years later in March 1970. Marvin Gaye was so devastated that he initially did not want to record their third and final duet album, Easy, but Berry Gordy convinced him that the profits would go to Tammi's family to help cover her medical bills. In 1969, Ashford and Valerie Simpson were celebrated for their prolific output, winning 3 BMI awards for Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, and Your Precious Love. Demonstrating her unique talent, Valerie Simpson also made history, becoming the first female producer at Motown. They truly were the quiet engine driving a generation of R&B soul music pioneers. The duo's phenomenal work continued when Diana Ross left the Supremes to launch her solo career. They wrote nearly her entire debut solo album in 1970, including Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand, a song that became one of her signature anthems. Their brilliance was further cemented when Diana Ross covered their own Ain't No Mountain High Enough, which became her first solo number 1 hit on both the pop and R&B charts, earning her a Grammy nomination. Many fans, including the narrator, confess they love Diana Ross's version, particularly her dramatic vocal arrangement. Despite all this success, a subtle tension began to form. Fans and other artists who knew Nick and Valerie wrote all these massive hits started asking a logical question: when would they put out their own album? Valerie had already recorded 2 solo albums, Exposed and Valerie Simpson, but Berry Gordy, viewing them primarily as irreplaceable songwriters, failed to promote them seriously as artists. After 7 years of building the foundation for other legends, the pair decided their contract was up, and it was time to leave Motown. They signed a new deal with Warner Brothers, finally emerging fully as the singing duo Ashford and Simpson. They also founded their own publishing company, Nickval Music, taking control of their destiny. Their personal partnership blossomed into a forever commitment. After 9 years of intense collaboration, a period where they often treated each other like brother and sister, Nick and Valerie realized their love was solid as a rock. In 1974, they got married and welcomed their daughter, Nicole, shortly after. That same year, proving their commitment to their own career, they famously turned down the opportunity to write the music for the Broadway play The Wiz, believing a black version of The Wizard of Oz would not appeal to their community. They were determined to build their own legacy on their own terms as R&B soul music pioneers. After leaving Motown, Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson flourished in their own right. They released their debut duo album, Give Me Something Real, 1973, followed by I Want to Be Selfish, 1974. They were beginning to truly define their unique sound. Their commitment to their craft and to each other fueled a string of hits throughout the late 70s. Albums like So Satisfied and Send It, 1977, were certified gold, but in 1978, they hit a major peak. The album Is It Still Good to You became their first album to reach number 1 on the R&B album charts. The title track remains a beloved classic, later covered and made a hit by Teddy Pendergrass. It was during this era that they cemented their legacy as master songwriters, even while focusing on their own performing career. They crafted the solo debut single for Chaka Khan, the undeniable empowerment anthem, "I'm Every Woman." That song became a #1 hit on the Hot Soul Singles chart, and later, when remade by Whitney Houston for the Bodyguard soundtrack, it took the world by storm. But 1984 would be their year of ultimate, defining triumph. In 1984, Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson released the album that would forever define their enduring partnership, Solid. The title single, Solid, as a Rock, was more than just a song, it was a musical manifesto. It declared the resilience of their bond in the face of an ever-changing world. The song was a global phenomenon, hitting #1 on the U.S. Hot Black Singles chart. Its catchy, powerful rhythm resonated across oceans, reaching #1 on the New Zealand charts and #3 in the UK Singles chart. It became an instant fixture at family gatherings and celebrations, a timeless jam that the narrator notes is still played at cookout and parties at your family house. This track secured their place among the most cherished R&B soul music pioneers. Despite the single's massive commercial success and cultural impact, they lost the Grammy nomination for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group that year to the Commodores' Night Shift. In 1985, Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson participated in one of the most emotional moments in music history at the Live Aid concert in Philadelphia. They brought out singer Teddy Pendergrass for his first live performance since the devastating car accident that had left him paralyzed. Before a live audience of 99,000 people and a TV viewership of 1.5 billion, the trio performed the song Nick and Valerie had written for Diana Ross, "Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand." The sight of Teddy Pendergrass performing this powerful anthem of connection and humanity was intensely emotional, perfectly embodying the song's message of solidarity and support. As the hip-hop movement began sampling their classic work, the duo experienced a complicated mix of validation and frustration. In 1995, Method Man and Mary J. Blige released their Grammy-winning rap version of You're All I Need to Get By. While Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson admitted they benefited financially from the sampling, they took issue with the lack of proper credit. They felt a little insulted that the New York Times, in calling the remake the biggest record of the summer, never once mentioned the original creators. However, the sting of that slight was reportedly smoothed over by the immense publishing royalties they received. The financial payoff secured by the lasting quality of their music, including the sound that was solid as a rock, proved that their decision to start their own publishing company was the final, smart move of true R&B soul music pioneers. The body of work created by Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson earned them every major accolade the industry could bestow. They were honored with the ASCAP Founders Award, considered the organization's highest honor, and received the Pioneer Award from the Rhythm and Blues Foundation. In 2002, their place in music history was formally recognized with their induction into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Beyond the trophies, they built a sanctuary for their community. In 1996, they opened the Sugar Bar in New York City, a live entertainment venue and restaurant that realized Nick's lifelong dream. It became a place where aspiring musicians could perform open mics, a testament to their continuous commitment to the future of R&B soul music pioneers. The enduring power of their music transcended the charts and entered the sphere of cultural history. In 2009, at the inauguration of President Barack Obama, the duo rewrote their most iconic anthem. The timeless track, Solid as a Rock, was adapted into Solid as Barack, connecting their musical legacy directly to a pivotal moment for Black Americans and celebrating the resilience of the nation itself. Despite the outward success and vibrancy, the personal journey of Nicholas Ashford came to a quiet, devastating end. After years of writing songs about enduring love, the foundation of his own life gave way. Nick Ashford passed away from throat cancer on August 22, 2011, at the age of 70. The news was particularly poignant because it arrived just 4 days before Valerie Simpson's 65th birthday. It was a cruel twist that a man who had used his voice to compose the soundtrack of a generation would be struck by this particular disease. Reports noted the diagnosis came in March, after his voice became hoarse, and he underwent his last treatment in June, passing away in August. The loss was made more confusing by the fact that Nick had stopped smoking 30 years prior and was a vegetarian, underscoring the arbitrary nature of the illness. Valerie Simpson was left to carry on the Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson legacy alone. She continued to perform, but admitted the difficulty. Singing the songs they built together, especially declarations of eternal love like Solid as a Rock and Is It Still Good to You, without Nick by her side, was rough and tough. Their beautiful partnership, which created a legacy solid as a rock, had finally ended. Some stories, even the most beautiful ones, end without the closure we wish for. But the dignity, the talent, and the impact of Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson do not need applause to remain relevant. Their legacy is not just etched in 22 gold and platinum records, or the over 50 ASCAP awards they earned. Their lasting gift to us is the simple, powerful truth that their greatest work, the perfect harmony, was the life they built together. They were the engine of hits for Motown legends, the quiet geniuses behind the scenes who redefined R&B and soul. They were, and remain, the quintessential R&B soul music pioneers. The genius of Nicholas Ashford was his ability to capture the profound depth of human connection and distill it into pure sound. He understood the posture of living. He wrote the lyrics for the songs that define eternal commitment, a fact that makes the loss of him, particularly for Valerie, so uniquely sharp. She spoke of the difficulty, the sheer toughness, of performing their signature songs alone, especially the declaration of unwavering devotion, Solid as a Rock. Nick Ashford, the young man who arrived in New York with only $64, who slept on park benches and survived on hot dogs, found his ultimate salvation and his eternal collaborator not in a studio, but in the heart of a church in Harlem. He found a partner, a love, and a legacy that was, truly, solid as a rock. To Valerie Simpson, who continues to keep the light burning at the Sugar Bar and on stages around the world, we see you. To anyone who has ever built something lasting, a marriage, a business, or a piece of art, we recognize the beautiful struggle. We invite you to honor this true R&B soul music pioneer, Nicholas Ashford, and his brilliant partner, Valerie Simpson. What is the one song by this dynamic duo that still plays in your heart? If the story of their enduring love reminds you of someone in your own life who is truly solid as a rock, share their name in the comments below. And for more stories celebrating the indelible impact of Black American figures who shaped our culture, please subscribe and join our community. Thank you for listening.